Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So I'm back at home base after the 2023 Toronto Spring Expo. Didn't really have a chance to do much vlogging as far as anything during the actual show itself. I did have the one video where I did some pickups for one of the days, and what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to consolidate that. I'll go over the same stuff again, but I'll talk about it in a little bit more depth. Now that I'm back here, I've actually got the better lighting so I can actually show the cards off properly. But I also did have some success picking up some stuff on the other 2 days, including today on Sunday, where I was actually able to pick up some very nice stuff. Kind of at the tail end there, kind of unexpectedly, I did end up having to go get some more cash because a couple of opportunities came by as I kind of started walking through. Now this isn't going to be exhaustive as far as a lot of the stuff that happened with it. We'll have a lot more time on the live stream to definitely flesh it out and talk a little bit more about it, talk about some of the stories. But I'll give you some of the high level stuff in this video, and then along the way as I'm talking, I'll show a couple of pictures. And this is something that I've learned the last couple of expos, but in particular this one. Even though you go in with the best of intentions, it's one of those things where I'm not much of a vlogger. So I ran into a lot of opportunities where I'm like, oh, this would have been a good time to take a picture. Or this would have been a good time to grab the camera and show a little bit of footage of stuff that's going on. And I just kept putting it off and forgetting about it until we finally got to Sunday, and it's like, oh shoot, I missed a lot of opportunities to do a lot of that would have been really good. So not so great on the vlogging, great on hanging out and having great conversations with some folks. We had a lot of fun with that. And then great on finding a couple of nice cards to add to the collection, so that was good. Very successful expo from that perspective. And it was good getting a chat, so I'll kind of start with that. It was good getting a chance to catch up with a lot of folks. It's kind of a great little convention, especially for a lot of the locals that get a chance to frequent it, and even the not so local ones that come in from across the country in order to participate in the expo 2 times a year. So whether you're here on this one or whether you're usually in the fall, a lot of the regular characters, cast of characters are there. So it's always a good opportunity to chat and hang out, and there was a lot of that. From that perspective, I'll just take a moment and say, thank you to anybody who took a moment to say hello, especially if you watch either one of the shows, be it the one on this channel or the PSA Canada channel or any combination therein. So either way, it's appreciated. I'm not even going to try to name anybody because I got a chance to chat with a couple different folks throughout the course of it, so it was really a lot of fun to chat with those folks. And that was really a lot of the time in between the finds, because realistically, for the first couple of days, it looked like it was only going to be a handful of cards that I was going to pick up anyway, and that was really my plan, and it was kind of a quality over quantity thing. On Sunday, we did have a little bit more of quality and quantity, although we did pick up a couple of smaller cards, which was really nice, to kind of even things out a little bit. And I did partake in one of the bargain bins. Even though I'm kind of lazy to kind of sort through the cards a little bit, I did get into looking at one, and I was able to pick up a couple of cards that were nice adds. So once I get a chance at the end, I'll actually flip it to the other camera, and then I'll be able to show off the cards, including those ones as well. So we'll do the bargain bin cards and then the other bigger pickups as well, and we'll do a combination therein. And as I said, as kind of as I've been talking, I've shown a couple of different shots that I was able to take throughout the course of the show. It was a lot of fun also chatting up with the PSA Canada guys and chatting with a couple of folks that I know over at Upper Deck, because as I said, it's really down to getting caught up and reinforcing those connections that already exist. And that's always one of the fun things to do at the expo, one of the things I enjoy doing the twice a year that we get a chance to do this. Now, with all this said, a couple of high-level impressions. I did find that a lot of the dealers were reasonable. It's a bit of a mixed bag always, because there's always going to be certain dealers who I find that are fairly reasonable, and they tend to be the ones who have very little trouble actually finding, clientele, and they are able to move some of the merchandise. At the same time, you do find some folks that are kind of priced out of whack with kind of where things sit right now, and for the most part, people would look and see, and it would end up being a museum. They would get a chance to display their wares, but at the same time, nothing would go out the door, so to speak. But in other places, money was changing hands. Now, I did find something that was interesting when I did chat several dealers that I do know, is that it was a bit of a mixed bag as far as which days tended to be really doing well for them. Some of them were actually very successful in the first couple of days, and some of them were successful in the middle days, and some of them were very successful on Sunday, and then on Friday or Thursday, but not so much on Saturday. And then other ones had a great Saturday. So it was really very dependent on who you were asking, which direction that whole thing took. And I did find it interesting that there was a bit of a mix, because I do like to ask, and it's one of those things, because I'm not setting up as a dealer myself, it is interesting to me to see A, which days tend to work really well, and B, which things tend to be moving. And again, in the same vein, some of them were having a little bit of better luck with the smaller items, the more affordable items, and some of them were having better luck with some of those higher end items. Some deals were being made, you were able to see, and one of the things that's a very common theme with it right now, again, my lack of vlogging ability notwithstanding, there were other people walking around with cameras. And I was watching the social media, and there were definitely some of the influencers that were hanging out that made the trek up to Toronto in order to kind of partake and visit in this. So I expect we'll get some more vlogs and things, video vlogs, as far as that's concerned, happening. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see kind of their perspective on how this show goes. As somebody who's been at the show a long time, for me, it's not so much a concern about the individual cards. I would say Sunday is probably the day that I probably spent the most time actually scanning through the showcases a little bit more closely. Like I would look, but at the same time, I wasn't doing like really keying in on certain things. It was when I got to today that I started giving a little bit more of a glance because there were waves of people. There were certain times that were a little bit busier, and when things got a little bit quieter, I did have a little bit more time to kind of pan around and scan through. And that's where, again, the camera would have been good because it would have been nice to showcase some of the stuff. Because some of the showcases really did have some excellent stuff and very interesting. Combination of new and old and everything in between. A lot of wax as far as that's concerned. You did have the Upper Deck doing a lot of those redemptions. I did get a chance to see some people that made videos where the redemptions seemed to be, one in particular person, the name escapes me, but they pulled a lot of Owen Power priority signings. It was just one after another, so it looks like somebody wasn't really mixing up the bonus packs, so to speak, because you could open up a box or a case and get a certain amount of these redemption packs, and inside of them you get some of these priority signings autographs. And I guess they weren't being sorted very well, and one person ended up with a big stack of the exact same person over and over again. So it's kind of interesting. That was one of the vlogs that I did see coming out of the expo. But nonetheless, I will be interested in seeing what other people's experiences were, because we always have different mixed versions of how we perceive it, depending on kind of what we're looking for and what we're doing. Now, one more thing I'll add before I go over to the time-lapse piece, because I did do a little bit of a short time-lapse on Sunday. I was able to do that. And then after that, I will do the pickups for the show. I'll actually go through a whole set of the pickups with the other camera, and we'll go through it, and that's how we'll kind of conclude this video for the 2023 Spring Expo, the end of it. As I said, I've got a couple stories that I think I'd like to share, but I think we'll do a lot of that on the live version, because then we can kind of chat back and forth and have a little bit more interactive element to it. Now, with that said, before we go to the other element of it, I will say that coming into it, my original plan was very broad-based. I did have a little bit of a budget that I set out to it, and I ended up exceeding it, and you'll see kind of why, especially when I get to the Sunday part and some of the pickups later on. But I did have a little bit of a budget that I set up with the intention of adding to some of my Dallas Star collections, but specifically mostly the Modano or Jamie Benn, and I did succeed in doing both of those. And at the same time, I was kind of had in the back of my mind that I'd like to get a Jake Ottinger and possibly a Jason Robertson card or two. And I wanted to be very picky about that. The Ottinger one was particularly interesting, but I wanted to see if I could get one of both. I was successful in all of these things. So as far as we go through it, kind of check mark, check mark, check mark, I was able to check off all those boxes. The one area I think that I wasn't able to, and I was trying to look around, but I wasn't seeing anything that caught my eye. I also wanted to see if there was anything interesting in terms of the wrestling cards. And there were some wrestling cards, different dealers had them, but it was just nothing that particularly caught my eye that I thought would be interesting to spend money on. And in this case, it worked out very well because honestly, like I said, I blew through my original budget, added a little bit extra money to it. I was trying to be a little bit conservative, but when certain cards came up, it was kind of a frustrating thing. It's one thing that I joked with a couple of my friends there is, I like to haggle on a lot of these sticker prices. I don't like to pay the sticker price. But the reality was I found for some of the nicer cards that I'll showcase once I get to that piece, the sticker price was actually very fair, which is actually very annoying because it's one of those things where if the sticker price is fair, it's kind of hard to get a dealer off of a sticker price that they kind of in the back of their mind, they know that you could pretty much pay the sticker price and it's very comparable or in often cases even a little bit better than what you could get on the equivalent thing on eBay. So it's one of those things where when you're already right about eBay price, you're already pretty fair. It's hard to knock off more than a little bit, but you better believe we're going to try. We're always going to give it a try and see do the best we can, and I was successful in a few of those cases. In the other one, I basically had to pay the sticker price, and like I said, it was fair, so I can live with it. Even if my sensibilities are that you always want to try to squeeze a little bit and push it a little bit further down, if you can. Especially. Anyway, with that said, I'll do the little quick montage thing. It's going to be fairly short, but then at the end of that, I'll flip over to the other vantage point, and then I'll go through the entire stuff that I was able to pick up. I did actually open up one box of wrestling cards with Bobby Burrell, so we did have a little bit of fun with that, doing a little mini pack war thing. We did have some fun with that. I also want to thank AMG that was able to supply us with that box. We bought it, but they were nice enough to give us a decent deal on it, so that we were able to do that. Mixed bag on the pickups. I'll showcase 3 cards from the box. It turned out to be about a little bit above average box, I would say, but thankfully the reasonable price helped a lot in terms of making that a little bit more palatable. Here's a little bit montage piece, and then we'll do the pickup video piece at the very end, and that's how we'll round out this video. down to the pickups. Now, actually, before I do, when I was sorting through some of this, I realized that I forgot to make any video as far as Friday's mail before I headed off over to the expo. I did actually get the last piece of mail that actually came in beforehand, so I'll quickly go over those. It's 3 cards, including one for the Modano collection, and then I'm going to update the whole Modano count anyway with all of it. So we'll include all that stuff in as part of the deal. So first off, we got the last 2 cards as part of a bulk lot that I purchased. I had talked about this before with the Marc-Andre Fleury and the 2003-2004 Supreme. There were actually 2 cards missing from the lot originally. Because the lot was such a good deal, I wasn't too worried about it, but it was a situation where I at least would reach out to the seller, just let them know. They were very apologetic, and they said they would send the stuff right over, and they did. Good to their word, they sent it over. So I also got these 2 as far as that lot is concerned. Satomu Ruto, again autographed, numbered 375, and then the Eric Stahl, which is a good solid addition as well. So it's nice to have these as part of that lot. So in addition to the 10 that I had shown previously, we also got those 2 in. Next up here, this was a crowd pleaser when I showed it off on Instagram, but from the 2020-21 SP Signature Edition Legends set, which I've talked about on the live stream, which the checklist wasn't my favorite, but they do have some nice cards in it. And one of the nice cards they have in it is the all-time Future Watch cards. You got the autographs, but you also have the acetate. So you got a nice see-through acetate card with the nice foil, rainbow foil going on there. These are actually really nice. So big fan of that, and that was quite the crowd pleaser there when I did put it up on the Instagram, because those are nice, those are really sharp looking cards. You got them in a North Star uniform, which is pretty solid, kind of fun. Also thematically appropriate given the series they're having right now. Okay, so now get into the expo stuff. Get into the expo stuff. For the most part, I mentioned during the first part of this video that I really have been doing a very bad job going into the bargain bins, the dollar bins, etc. I'm really lazy about it, to be perfectly honest, but on Sunday I did have a little bit of time as I was kind of going through the different sections. We actually had 2 halls that we were using. One of them was hall 4 and one of them was hall 5. Hall 4 is over kind of on the side where the autograph guests were doing their business, but in addition, they would set up some dealers around them. A lot of times there was less traffic there, even though there would be traffic for the autograph guests, but a lot of those dealers wouldn't necessarily get as much traffic as the main hall where most of the dealers were situated. But as a result of that, you could sometimes go by and take a look. Now this stuff, this group of cards here, I picked up inside of one of those bargain bin lots, and it was on the Sunday. So people had days to pick this stuff over, and so who knows what was in the first place, but I was able to pick this up as part of a lot. So first one here, we got a Prism, 2020 Prism, Jordan Love. So ignore the price point, and I'll give a quick story about that here in a second. So we got 2020. Then we've also got this card here, which is from the 2020 Panini Prism Baseball. We got an autograph, Rafael Palmeiro. Got some etching going on there, which is nice. It is a sticker auto, so it's Prism signatures. Now, Palmeiro is an unfortunate case because obviously with the steroid thing, he may never get to the Hall of Fame, but it's one of those situations where it's a weird spot to be in because he is one of the few 500 home run, 3,000 hit guys, and normally that should be a mortal lock. So I got the Jordan Love in this one. So you got $10 on this one, and then you got $12 on this one. And like I said, I'll explain in a second. And then I also picked this one up just as kind of a throw-in as well. Picked up a Juan Soto Spectra card. So we got total, if we're adding it up here, so $12, $10, and then $5. So $27. The way it was marked is that the bargain bin had, half sticker. So this would be, $13.50 for these 3, which isn't too bad. My intention was to offer 12. I had a little bit of fun with the dealer doing a little bit of math, but in the end, I ended up getting the 3 of them for $10. So overall, I was pretty pleased with it. The Prism Jordan Love is a nice one to have, but at the same time, it's one of those things where price point-wise, that's pretty fair. But then we're tossing in a guy here that probably should be a Hall of Famer, and then one for the Juan Soto collection. These 3 for $10, I'll take it. So overall, it worked out. Even though I ignored the bargain bins most of the weekend, nonetheless, I was able to at least get something from them. Now, this next ones are kind of separated into different groups here, and I've sorted them into the various piles, but I'll just show them off anyway. So this was from a different kind of box. Not really, I wouldn't call it a bargain bin box, but it was some decent stuff in it. So we got some cracked ice here from Prism for Jamie Benn. Love the design on that. Love the cracked ice look. And again, we do have the etching going on, so you can see on the Dallas and the 14. Thematically appropriate with the playoffs going on. And this one is actually numbered, so this is numbered 30. So it's a nice addition for the Ben collection. It's a fun-looking card, like that. And then this one was from a separate one, so this is from one of my buddies. I picked it up from him. I don't really collect too much of the stuff, but I just thought it was a cool card. I'm a big fan of these. So if you guys remember from the In the Game Used 2003, 2004, they had the triple memorabilia cards. So here's one from Marty Turco. So you got a jersey, a glove, and a pad. all game used stuff. It's just a neat card. Now, you got the unfortunate motorist jersey there in the background, but nonetheless, a really neat card with the triple memorabilia. So I decided to help my buddy out in making a sale, and I picked this card up for a reasonable price. This one was actually part of a 2-card lot. One of the cards that I left with one of my friends there, just so they could have a reference. But I picked up a 55 Bowman Ralph Kiner. I already have one, so I'll take a closer look at this one and see if this one's actually an upgrade over a lot of my 55 Bowman set is usually a pretty beat up cards, so this might actually be an upgrade, but I'll take a look. If worse comes to worse, I've got an extra Ralph Kiner, so nonetheless, that's perfectly fine. So that was kind of a mixed bag of different pickups there. A lot of those ones, latter portion of it came on Sunday. Now, before I go back and basically show off a couple of things that I'd shown off in the previous video, I'll quickly show the contents, or the hits, I would say, from the 2022 AEW box that I opened up with Bobby Burrell that I mentioned. So I just grabbed the hits here. So we've got a numbered here, Dante Martin. So you got the Pyro going on. Sorry, that's the Dynamite, numbered out of 299. And then we did get a UD Exclusives, Stu Grayson, so numbered to 100. And we also got a numbered matte relic of Chuck Taylor, so the red matte relic, numbered to 50. So you can see there 2 numbered, red numbered cards, 3 numbered cards in total. So we got a matte relic numbered, we got the UD Exclusives in this one. This actually beats the odds on a box, but obviously based on the characters and everything, it was like, it comes out to kind of above average, but you did beat the odds on this because you're not guaranteed a UD exclusive or one of these numbered relics in every box. So, overall, not too bad. The price point on the box certainly helped out to make it a little bit more interesting, but nonetheless, getting some numbered cards out of the AEW flagship product is still pretty good. So we'll take it for sure. Now, before we get into the main section with all the Modanos, and this part got recorded a little bit on the side because I completely forgot them in another pile here, so it's a little disjointed, but we'll see if the editing brings the pieces together. These were the cards I already showed in the other video, but I'll include them as part of this since it's an overall pickups section here at the end of this video. So I had that mass collection, jersey patch card. So this is an upgrade to my previous patch. So you got a nice 3-color piece there. I also wanted to show it off in this camera so you can see a little bit better with the better lighting. So that is number to 100. So that is a nice card. So I'll just include these here. And then after that, I'll get to the main Modano section there with all the pieces and the Modano count and the whole thing. And the other 2 cards were from the young guys. So we had a Jake Ottinger there. So the 2020 Ultimate Collection, this is the debut threads where I take advantage of the lower grade of a graded card and got myself a nice card with a decent patch, solid numbering on card. Happy to get it for the price I was able to get it at, so that was good. And then, of course, the Ultimate Rookies, Jason Robertson, picked that up in a PSA 9. So that's number to 299, was able to get that. And that all came from the first day that I was at the expo. So I was off to a good start and already felt pretty good about it. But then, as you'll see when I get to the Modano section and the rest of the Modano section, I was able to pick up quite a number of things, and it was a really strong finish as well. So it was pretty good overall. So now I'm going to switch over, and we'll go to the Modano pickups, and then that's how we'll conclude this video. For the rest of this, we'll get into the remaining, this is pretty much all the rest of it as being the Modano pickups. And some really good stuff. The first one here is actually another piece of mail that came at the beginning, but I sorted it with the Modano pile, so I'll start off with that one. So I did pick up from eBay inexpensively from the 2023 Tim Hortons Collector Series. I got a Legend set that they just came out with. So I did pick up the base card from Modano. So we're adding that one to the collection. So we got that one. We're counting that as one of the additions. And these next 2 came similar with that Jamie Benn inside of the same box. So I was able to pick up this one from Crown Royale. We've got Royal Lineage triple autograph. So we're mixing it in with the Jamie Benn, Brendan Morrow, and then Modano. So that kind of fits into both collections, but it's part of the Modano count here that we're going to add. This one was one that it was a pleasant surprise to come across. This is 2003-2004 Private Stock Reserve, and this is the patch variant, numbered 75. So that's a nice add there, like that. And this one was another one that came on the Sunday pickups. Then these last 3 are actually kind of tough for me to put in any kind of order because they're all really good. They're all excellent cards, and in and of themselves, they would probably be my featured card. And that's why I've got the 3 slots here. I'm going to include all 3 here at the end because I love all 3 of the cards for different reasons. So one of them I picked up from my buddy Steve, 2013-2014 Panini Dominion Hockey, the stick side signatures. So you've got a game used stick piece and an autograph on it, numbered to 25. And it is a clean autograph, which is always one of the critical pieces with these ones because you don't always get a clean autograph. And this was actually my last pickup of the expo. So this one was done right here at the end. And I like the fact they used a darker uniform, even though it's not the original, the OG black uniform. It's still a nice one. And then we got a nice stick piece to go along with it. So we're going to put that one right here. It is a great piece, but it's going to be one of the 3 at the end that we're going to include. This one here I featured on my Instagram, as I did the next one as well. And this one actually came in the most recent cup, even though it's an older card per se. And I'll show you, but it'll make more sense after I explain it a little bit. So we've got a dual signature patches of Jamie Benn and Modano. So that's 09-10 the cup. So that's Jamie Benn's rookie year. So these cards did exist and they did come out initially, but they are also available as a part of the update set. But then check out the patches on this one. Good clean autographs, numbered to 35, and we got some really nice patches, especially that Modano with the star there. Love that. So that's a fantastic card. That's one of those ones that was reasonably priced already from the sticker price compared to the current comps, but at the same time, it makes it a little bit frustrating because you do want to talk it down. So that's one that I had to pay sticker price for just because that's what happened. This next one was also reasonably priced, but I was able to talk it down a little bit, which I consider a win. That's always a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Anything from the first year of the cup is always a nice bonus to add to the collection because we don't have too much. A lot of that stuff's really tough to come by. So from 05-06, the cup, I have the scripted swatches. So we got the scripted swatches Modano. That is numbered to 25. We got the rainbow foil going on there. You have to kind of look a little bit. It's a little tough to see the auto, but you can see it there on the game used material. And that is what the OG design. So these are just really nice looking cards. But that right there, that was one of the main pieces there. So the stick side here, that was the last card I picked up. This one was a big one that I picked up, but I also picked this one up on Sunday. So 2 out of the 3 of these cards were actually done on the Sunday. So overall, pretty strong finish as far as that's concerned and some big pieces to add to the collection, in addition to all the other stuff. So overall, going into the expo not having any specific plan, that's a pretty good result, I must say. And some big pieces to add to the collection, including the ones shown here on the screen. Now, not everything went according to plan because if you can see in the background, my original idea, I completely forgot to bring it. I was actually going to send that in for grading submission, so I'm probably going to have to mail it off to them directly separately. And I did drop off some stuff for grading, and I completely forgot to throw this one in the box. So, not everything went according to plan, but for the most part, a lot of stuff did. Or even without a specific plan in mind, we ended up pretty well anyway. So let me do an update on the Modano count with all this stuff that's been added, and then we'll finish off this video. So with everything included, we did get a nice solid update as far as the overall Modano count. So now with everything, including the Expo stuff, we're sitting at 2,475 different Mike Modano cards, including 275 unique autographs, so 275 certified autos, just like the 3 that are on the screen here. And then 607 memorabilia cards. So we added, again, same as on the screen here, we added quite a bit in terms of that as well. At this stage in the game, especially for cards of this quality, it's rare that I get a chance to add this much quality stuff all at once. And obviously that's kind of one of the things the Expo can do. If you're looking for some of the bigger stuff, you usually have a decent shot at finding it. And sometimes you're able to work out a deal that is agreeable. So that's what ended up being the case. So that is a good bookend, a good closing to the 2023 Spring Expo. Had a lot of fun with it, was able to be very productive with it, and now I'm going to go lick my wounds and try to refill the coffers for the rest of the year here as we proceed forward in the rest of the hobby year. So with that said, leave any comments if you have in the comment section. I'd be curious if you did make it out to the expo, if you had any success, I'd like to hear about it, or any kind of thoughts you had if you attended any of the days. More videos coming up on the channel. We'll do the live streams Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So this upcoming week, we'll definitely have a nice discussion about some of the expo and some of the happenings and maybe some stories that we can share about that. With all that said, like if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you in the next one.